Welcome to part 5 of Zelda II, The Adventure of Link. In this part I'm going to be going through the third palace of the game, the Island Palace. So I'm going to head over there. First I'm going to take a little detour. I'm going to go back to the town of Hyrule. You don't have to go back there if you're following this for the sake of a walkthrough. I'm just going there to show you something. If you remember, one of the townspeople said that if we spoke with Error of Hyrule, you remember Error, he'll give us a hint on how to get to the Island Palace. And I'm just going back to Hyrule just to show Error's hint, but you don't really need it. I'm just doing it because I like to kind of show as much of the game as I can. Plus, Error is just one of the most epic Zelda characters of all time, so any excuse to go back and visit him, we'll do it. There's a bunch of Mobies here. Kind of annoying they don't give that much experience, but the Octoroks give a bunch, so it's good. And as I've said a million times before, but I somehow don't do in this video, you can always jump in the swamp screen. Since you walk slow, if you jump, it actually makes you go faster. And I'm just getting destroyed by enemies here, and just keep getting them over and over again. Making slow progress. Something I never mentioned, but I think it's quite obvious if you've been watching, is that if you stay on the path in the overworld, no enemies will come out. So that's why I follow the path pretty closely here. It's kind of like using your repellent in Pokemon. Nothing will pop out at you. So here I am back at Hyrule. Like I said, you don't have to come here. I just came here to talk to Error, and he's going to give us a hint on how to get to the Island Palace. So he says, south of King's Tomb. There's a tunnel. So that's what we're gonna go find now. A tunnel south of the King's Tomb. So we get to visit the tomb of the dead king of Hyrule, which I mentioned in the first video as part of the backstory. And supposedly south of his tomb, there's a secret tunnel, and that's what I'm gonna go find. And that's gonna lead me to the Island Palace. So the one exception to no enemies on the path is whenever you break a roadblock like that, enemies will pop out. Okay, so here's the graveyard. These are our little tombs, I suppose. And this one right here in the middle is the King's Tomb. And there it is, and you can talk to this lady and she'll confirm it for you. This is King's Tomb. So Error said to go south, so that's exactly where we're going. But first, there's this little screen here I want to show you. There's a magic refill here if you need it. A couple bots for experience. But again, if you head directly south of the King's Tomb, you'll run across this tunnel right here. And bam. Then you can deal with these enemies. And this leads you to the Island Palace. Over here, you cannot use your jump spell. It won't let you jump far enough. So you have to use this fairy spell. And then you can turn into this pretty prissy fairy over here and fly over and go across the tunnel. There's a few Mews here and a Goria, and now they're pretty easy with this level 7 sword, only one hit to kill. Alright, once you make it across the tunnel, you made it to Island Palace, and there it is. You can continue the quest now. This statue right here, if you smack it, you can either get a potion or a iron knuckle will pop out. So you can get lucky or unlucky. To be quite honest, either is lucky, because if you get the iron knuckle, that's just free experience points. If you didn't get what you wanted, you can always leave and come back in and hit the statue again. It's a new enemy called the Doom Knocker. I used the downward thrust to kill him. That's the best way to do it. And he'll throw his mace out at you, so you want to be careful. You're going to have to jump over that if need be. I like the red color of this dungeon. I think it looks nice. If I were to pick any palace to live in this game. I guess this one will be it. Let's get a bit of a tin suit infestation though. And again, I just ignore those flying moas for now until I can get the upward thrust, because they're pretty much impossible to beat right now without the upward thrust. So here, obviously you can break the blocks with a handy glove that we got earlier, and you can get the key that way, and you can make yourself a little ladder here to get back up. And then over here you want to be careful about how you fight this guy because of the blocks. What I like to do is destroy the floor from under him, and then just stab him in the face. You'll see that happen here shortly. Bam. See, you just get the floor under from him, and then you stab him in the face, get the points back, and you can continue on your way. Kill that Mew. I thought about getting that magic container, but then I realized I didn't need it. You don't really have to fight this guy, but it's just for experience. 100 points. And then this ledge right here, it trolls me a lot. Like, I cannot climb it during this entire time. And you don't have to kill this guy either, like I said. I'm just trying to get experience. Then I'm going to fail miserably at jumping at this ledge again. You can use the jump spell if you're having a hard time. That's probably what I should have done here, because look at this. This is pathetic. And this is pretty cool. There's a little courtyard here for this palace. You can go outside. There's an iron knuckle guarding a key here. So you can fight him and get this key and head back in. And it's hard to use the downward thrust in these style foes. They kind of block it with their shield, so just as always, do the downward stab. Or not the downward stab, I mean press down and hit stab at the same time. So those little wolf head things that were shooting energy orbs at me, it's a new enemy, and they're called wolf heads, obviously, because they're little wolf heads. Alright, so now I'm headed to get the secret item of this palace. If you remember, there was a little pipsqueak in one of the towns. He said that the island palace contains the raft. But before we can get it, there's this new enemy here. It's the blue iron knuckle. He's absolutely ruthless. Takes a lot of hits to kill, and he just throws that sword at you over and over again without stopping. But once you manage to defeat him, you can get the raft. And what that does is it allows you to access eastern Hyrule, so you can traverse some waters and head over to the other side of Hyrule, where a lot of the other palaces are. And once again, it doesn't really have an active ability, it's just a passive ability to be able to transverse the water. But yeah, be careful with those blue iron knuckles. They're savage and they won't stop with the swords. You just have to block really well with a shield and try to get in as many hits as you can in between. And here are the wolf heads. They're pretty easy to deal with. You can obviously see their pattern. They'll shoot one orb up and then they'll come down and you have to crouch to block the next orb. And as always, you want to be managing your experience, so when you place the crystal in the statue at the end of this palace, you can get as much experience as possible. I actually don't do a good job of doing that here. I could have leveled my health and my magic a few times, but I didn't do that. I just skipped them completely. So all this experience I'm getting right now doesn't really count for anything, because I'm just going to level up to 8,000 when I put the crystal in the statue anyways. There's probably better ways to do what I'm doing here. You can probably use the jump spell and go back up and then just walk across, but I'm just slowly making my way back after getting that key. I'm just breaking the blocks one by one and slowly moving across, hitting these wolf heads as they come out. blocking the energy orbs. Requires a lot of patience. But like I said, there's probably a better way to do this. You can make yourself some little stairs, get back up, and then just run across, or just even use the jump spell. Alright, but all that experience adds up. Each of these little wolf heads is 5, and I probably killed a good 10 or something over there, so 50 experience. And I can finally make my way over to the boss. There's a bunch of enemies beforehand. There's the Stalfos here, and there's going to be a bunch of Iron Knuckles. There's that points bag. I don't get it because, like I said, I'm not going to be able to level up before the boss, so there's no point in me getting more experience points, since I'm just going to shoot up to the 8,000 anyways. And be careful, this guy can shoot his swords through the brick wall. Amazingly. You don't have to fight him, but if you need extra experience, you can. Same for this guy, you don't really have to fight him. Or actually, that guy you do have to fight, because you have to make your way across here. But there's that Iron Knuckle down there with a points bag, if you do need the more experience points. But here is the third boss of the game, the boss of the Island Palace. He's a blue Iron Knuckle. He comes charging in on his vicious steed, like a jousting knight. And then you can just downward stab him as he passes through you. So he'll come up and then you just stab him in the head and he'll pop down, and it's just a regular blue Iron Knuckle fight. Just be blocking those swords and trying to get as many hits in as possible. Bam. Not too hard. So, as any other boss, he leaves a key behind that you can open up and get to the statue, place the crystal in, go up to the next level, and that is 3 out of 6 crystals placed. We are halfway there. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and join me next time where I'll be doing more stuff in this game, of course. Thanks again.